What's up guys, I'm Mitch from the DIYRecordingStudio.com and I've got an awesome trick for you guys this week that will take your SM57 and make it sound as close as possible to an SM7B like this one, and it's quick, easy, and really affordable. So stick around, it's going to be a fun one. There's plenty of information out there on the internet and on YouTube with people claiming that you can take an SM58 or an SM57 and mod it to make it sound like another microphone or something like an SM7B. And a few weeks ago, I made a video debunking that myth on why you can't actually make an SM58 sound like an SM7B, and if you missed that video, I'll put a link down in the description below. Now, whilst it isn't possible to take any microphone and make it sound exactly like another one, there is actually a really quick and easy way to take an SM57 and turn it into a great sounding vocal mic. But before I show you this well-kept secret, please make sure you hit like and subscribe down below. And if you like the kind of content that I'm creating on the channel and want to see more, you can make a donation on the Super Thanks tab down below as well. Every cent that you guys donate to this channel will be reinvested in this channel and will go to buying more hardware and plugins and all that gear I can test and review on this channel for you guys. So the SM57 is a great all-round microphone, and it's particularly used on instruments. It's used on electric guitars when miking amps, and it's also used on snare drum and toms, both in studio and live productions. And it's just a great all-round workhorse microphone that you will find in many home studios and professional studios alike. But what you might not realize is this microphone actually is an amazing vocal mic too. Now, if I take this microphone and just start speaking into it, 1, 2, you'll start to notice a few problems. The SM57 can sound a little bit harsh in the high frequencies, and it doesn't deal with sibilants too well. Those S's that you hear in my voice are overpronounced, and it has a real hard time dealing with plosives. And this is why most people will favor an SM58, especially in live vocal situations. However, if we directly compare the SM57 and SM58 in their frequency response, we can see that the SM57 has a much more detailed and extended high frequency response with a linear low frequency roll off, which theoretically should give us a clearer, crisper sounding vocal. All we need to do is fix the plosive and sibilance issues on the SM57. And this is where we get to our simple yet effective mic mod. All you have to do is purchase one of these. It's the A2WS or windshield from Shure microphones. And it's basically like a little windshield or pop shield specifically made for the SM57. And you can buy them online, and I'll put some links to some of them down below. All you have to do to make this simple mod work is get your SM57 and get your A2WS and place it down over the microphone down to where you see this line on the SM57. Then all you have to do is go to this screw, and with a small flathead screwdriver, just tighten that ring up on that line there. That. It's really that easy. Now, firstly, this is not going to magically turn your SM57 into an SM7B. It can get close, and I'll show you how and why in a second. And yes, there are some cheaper ways to do this. You could get a cheap piece of foam and put it on a microphone like this, and there are plenty of those available, and they will net you a similar-ish result. But my biggest reason for getting the actual Shure pop shield is because this physically fastens to the SM57, whereas those pieces of foam will just kind of flop around on the microphone, and they can come dislodged if the microphone is handled or moved around on stage, or even if you had to move a microphone like this, it might come loose and fall off the microphone. So this official windshield will also place the vocalist that little bit further away from the diaphragm on the SM57 and just give it that much better frequency response because of its placement. That's not to mention that it also looks a lot nicer and a lot more professional than just popping a piece of foam over your microphone. And what you might not realize is that this exact setup is used in a lot of scenarios. The most famous one being that this is the mic choice of every president of the United States for any press conference that they ever do. That's right, it's just an SM57 with one of these windshields on them. And I bet you didn't see that one coming. So if it's a good enough mic for the President of the United States to use, maybe we should all give it a try. Now, most importantly, why don't we give this a listen and I'll explain how and why this actually works. So now we're back on the SM57 and you can hear that those sibilant and plosive sounds coming from my voice are now well under control. And if we go to a website like recordinghacks.com that I've shown on this channel before, we can see that the frequency response of these two microphones is actually quite similar. The SM7B just has the higher frequencies sitting a little flatter when the high frequency boost is not engaged. Well, by adding our pop shield to the SM57, we're kind of doing a similar thing. We're attenuating a lot of that high frequency information. Now, due to its design, the SM57 actually has a lot steeper roll off in the lows, so we aren't going to get that extended bottom end frequencies like you are on something like the 7B. If people are adding high pass filters to their vocals in post or on the SM7B, the SM57 is going to get pretty close anyway. And just for demonstration purposes, this is my voice on an SM7B, and this is my voice on an SM57. Now the SM57 is lacking that mid-range bump in the higher frequencies that the 7B has, but what we can do is add that in post and get somewhere in the ballpark. So let's add that right now. This is my voice with EQ on the SM57, and this is my voice on the SM7B. And what we should start to hear is that the SM57 starts to sound a little similar, or at least close enough to the SM7B. So does this mod, or any mod for that matter, make your SM57 sound exactly like an SM7B? No, of course not. However, for a very cheap add-on, you can take the much more affordable SM57 and turn it into a great sounding vocal mic, similar to an SM7B. And importantly, just for a fraction of the price. And that's not to mention that in a studio setting, you are always going to need at least one SM57. As I mentioned before, they're used often for recording instruments like snare drums, toms, and other percussion instruments, as well as guitars and a slew of other things. So if you're looking for your first vocal mic for recording or for podcasts or for anything else, don't go past this classic microphone from Shure. Thanks for sticking around for this video. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. And if you like this content, please remember you can always hit that super thanks button down below as well. It really helps me to produce more content on this channel. If you want to see more content like this, hit me up in the comment section down below. I'm Mitch from the DIYRecordingstudio.com, and I'll catch you soon.